Obviously, sinusoidal graphs, which are sine graphs and cosine graphs, can have many features or parameters to measure, and those have got some specific names. For example, first feature or parameter is called amplitude. Amplitude is the distance between maximum and axis, or minimum and axis. Now there's a new word here, axis. What is axis? Axis is the exactly middle line of the graph. So this is 1 in cos graph, this is -1, the graph is between 1 and -1. So what is the exactly middle part of 1 and -1? That is 0. So this line is called axis here. The x-axis in this case is the axis, A-X-I-S. Okay? So what is the distance between? Distance between the maximum, this is maximum, right? We can't have more than this. The distance between the axis and maximum is 1 unit, right? So in this, amplitude is 1. Right? So this was in radians, so we can do same thing. This time I'm taking this maximum and axis. What is the distance? 1 unit. Minimum and axis also. So minimum is this and axis. What is the distance? 1. So this is so easy and so straightforward for a basic cos theta graph, right? But here I have drawn a not so basic sine graph, not cosine this time, sine graph. So how to find amplitude of this? So for that you should know maximum, and maximum is 1 in that case. You see, we should know minimum, which is -9, right? So to find amplitude, the formula is amplitude equal to maximum minus minimum divided by 2. What exactly we are doing? We are subtracting the minimum from maximum. That means we get this particular distance, this distance, yeah, and then we divide it by 2. That means we make it half, and we found the amplitude, which is between maximum and axis. So in this case, if I want to find the amplitude, it will be 1 minus -9, because maximum is 1, minimum is -9, and there's a minus in between. That's what I wrote minus here, divided by 2. And that becomes 1 plus 9 divided by 2, and 5 units is the amplitude of this particular graph. Let's see. This is the average, right? This is the axis. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's correct. 5 units is the distance between maximum and axis. Let's count minimum and axis also. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the amplitude of this graph is 5. This is how we find amplitude, maximum minus minimum divided by 2. Now the second feature is the axis itself. Okay, let me try to clean this a little. Okay. Now the axis is the line between the two, the average of the two. How do we find average of two? Maximum and minimum, because it is exactly in middle of these, right? And if something is in middle of two numbers, we call it average or mean. So we find mean by maximum plus minimum divided by 2, and that's how we find what is the line of axis. You can say line axis, and it is always written as y equal to, because it's a line. Line will have an equation. Line will not be a number. Line will be an equation. We say y equal to maximum plus minimum divided by 2. So maximum is 1 plus minimum is -9 divided by 2. That comes out to be -8 divided by 2, which is -4. And we saw that this is the axis. -4 is the axis of this particular example. So To find the axis, this is the formula. Maximum plus minimum. Amplitude was maximum minus minimum. And axis is maximum plus minimum divided by 2. Basically, we find the mean. We can write it here. Mean of maximum and minimum. That's your axis. Right? Next feature which we should be aware of is the period. So some of you might have learned in physics, the period is the time taken by one oscillation of certain periodic motion. So it is not the time, it is the x value taken by the graph to repeat itself. So for that, the easiest part is find the difference in x between two maxima or two minima. So this is a maximum or not? This one in cos theta. This is a maximum. What is the difference in x value? So the x value here is 360. X value here is 0. So what is the difference between the two? 360 minus 0? 360. So the period of cos theta, and for that matter sine theta as well, is 360 degrees. In this, I have not given any scale to the x-axis. I've not given yet. So let me make one. And I'm not making it just like degrees. I'll make it 1, 2, 3, 4, something like that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's my scale. All right. I want to know this period. So this is one maximum, 5. This is the neighboring maximum, 1. I subtract 5 minus 1, 4. That is the period. I can also take minimum. So this is one minimum, which is 3. Correct? Here. It's 3. But I don't know the second minimum. But I know that it will be minus 1. If I go in negative direction, minus 1. At minus 1, it will be minimum. Yes or no? So this is 3 minus 1 is 4 again. Same period. Right? In some cases, like this was the one case, where you do not know two maxima or two minima because they are not drawn. But you know one maximum and one minimum. So if you want to use one maximum and one minimum, the formula is maximum minus minimum, okay, divided by 2. I'm sorry, multiplied by 2, right? So maximum is the x values only x values, no y values, because we said it is difference in x value. So find the x value where it is maximum and find the x value where it is minimum and their difference and multiply it by 2, but you have to find absolute. Absolute means sometimes this number maximum x value will be less and this value will be more. This will be less and this will be more. In that case, you will get a negative number. So put an absolute, means even if it is negative, ignore it. So let's do it here. So 3 is minimum and 1, at 1 it is maximum. So we will write 2 times at what point it is maximum? At 1 it is maximum. When it is minimum, it is at 3. And absolute. So the answer is 2 times minus 2 absolute minus 4 and 4. We got 4 same period by 3 different methods. Difference between maxima, difference between minima, difference between maximum and minimum multiplied by 2, and absolute if it is negative. Okay, let's have some practice now to find amplitude, axis and period of these 3 graphs, random graphs I took from different sources. So let's find the amplitude of this one, which is maximum minus minimum divided by 2. Okay, so maximum is, I can see it is at 2, minus minimum is minus 2 divided by 2. which is 2 plus 2, 4 divided by 2. So the 2 units. That's the amplitude of this particular graph, first graph. Okay. Now axis. Axis is y equal to maximum plus minimum divided by 2. And 2 plus minus 2 will be 0. 0 divided by 2 is 0. And y equal to 0 is the axis of this graph. Now period. I take this maximum and this maximum. Two consecutive maximum we can take and look what is the difference in x value of these two. So x of this is 360. X of the second one is 180. So period becomes 360 minus 180. 180 degrees is the period of this graph. Let's go to the second one. Amplitude. Maximum is minus 1. Can you see? Highest point is minus 1. Minus lowest point is minus 5. Divided by 2, which is minus 1 plus 6 divided by 2. And that is 6 minus 5 divided by 2, 2.5. 2.5 units is the amplitude of this second graph. What about axis? Y equal to maximum plus minimum divided by 2. So minus 1 minus 5 is minus 6 divided by 2 is minus 3. Y equal to minus 3 is the axis. This is the axis. Okay. So in this case it was y equal to 0, right? So x-axis itself was the axis. But here the axis is y equal to minus 3. Now period. This time I'll take minimums. So I'll take this minimum and this minimum. Two consecutive minimum. So 3 is the value of the higher one. So I'll say 3 minus 1. So 4. Period is 4 for this graph. Because it is minus 1 here, it is 3 here, 3 minus minus 1 makes it a difference of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, difference of 4. Period is 4 for this. Now the final one, amplitude. Maximum is 2.5 minus minimum is minus 2.5 divided by 2. Basically it will be 5 because of minus it will become positive. 5 divided by 2 is 2.5 again. So 2.5 units is the amplitude of this particular. It was 2.5 unit previous time, but they look so different. Still they have same amplitude. Next is axis. Axis will be y equal to maximum plus minimum. So 2.5 plus minus 2.5, again same thing, divided by 2, 0. Y equal to 0 is the axis of this third graph. And finally period. So I'll take one maximum and one minimum this time. This maximum I'll take and this minimum I'll take. Right? So this is half of minus 3 pi, so minus 3 pi by 2. Minus 3 pi by 2 minus, what will this be? Between 3 and 6, minus 4.5, minus 9 by 2, right? Minus 9 pi by 2. But we have to multiply it by 2 because we are taking one maximum and one minimum. If we take both maximum and both minimum like we did these two cases, there is no need to do anything. I just made it difficult in cases you just know one maximum and one minimum. So just subtract the lower one x value from the higher x value. This is the higher, this is lower, and after that multiply. Don't forget to multiply by 2 because you are taking one maximum and minimum. So 6 pi divided by 2, 3 pi, so it will be 6 pi. The period of this is 6 pi. We can see that. See, it's a sine theta, sine graph. So start from here and finishes here. So you see, period is 6 pi. You can see it very clearly. But I took a difficult path to make sure that we understand how to find amplitude, axis, and period of sinusoidal graph. By now we know how the graphs of sine theta and cos theta look like. Now in real life, hardly we will see that only sine theta and cos theta are used as a function. Usually we will see most of the times equation like this or this. There will be something in front of theta. This time I have written x because usually the function is written in terms of y and x. So in place of theta I have written x. Can you see there is a constant b in front of x. A, b and c are constants written here. There is something in front of sine as a whole and some c is being added. So by now you know what is amplitude, what is period, and what is axis. So let's connect these three words with A, B and C. For that I'll take the help of a website which is a very useful website. It's called desmos.com. And when you open this and write, this time I can't use my pen, so I will use cursor only. You can see I have written sin x here. If you write y equal to sin x, it makes no difference. So you can write just the function. So our x-axis is in degrees. I'm not using radians right now. We can move on to radians later on, but right now I'm focusing on degrees. So you can see that 360 here. 360 is the period from 0 to 360. One cycle of sine is complete. So now if I put some number in front of sine, let me put 2. So currently if you see, it is from 1 is the maximum and minus 1 is the minimum. But if I put 2 there, what happens? See, it becomes 2 and minimum becomes minus 2. And what is the amplitude now? From axis to maximum is 2, from axis to minimum it's minus 2. So it's 2, amplitude has become 2 because we wrote 2 here. Let's write 1.5. See what happened? Amplitude became 1.5. Here also amplitude is 1.5. So if I finally do it, say 2.634, very strange kind of, let's see. Can you see? The amplitude has become whatever I wrote in front of sine, that is the amplitude. Now let me see how much is this. 2.634, 90 degrees. Usually at 90 degrees it is 1. Yeah, the amplitude is 1. The value of y is 1. But here it is 2.634, what I wrote in front of sin x. That means that the number in front of sine or cos is the amplitude. A is amplitude. This A is amplitude. Whenever you see a number in front of a sine and cosine, that number is amplitude. Alright, let's go back to our Desmos. Now I will erase this and for the simplicity's sake, let's keep it 2. Amplitude as 2. Alright. So amplitude is 2 now. You can see that. Now if I add something to this, look, plus 3. Oh, what happened? The graph went up. Let's go there. Plus 1. How do we find axis? 5 plus 1, 6 divided by 2, 3. So 3 is the axis. You see? So whatever we add here, let me put it as minus 1.6. See, I wrote minus 1.6. I have to erase plus. So it is minus 4. It's gone down. You see? And now what is the maximum? Let's see. 0.4 is the maximum. Plus, what is minimum? Minus 3.6. So if I add 0.4 and minus 3.6, it gives me minus 3.2. And if I divide minus 3.2 by 2, it goes minus 1.6, which is minus 1.6. Yeah. So what is the conclusion from this? That whatever number we add or subtract after sine is the axis. So this C means this C is axis. Y equal to C is the equation of axis. So whenever you see such a equation, just take C as equation of axis. Y equal to C. Whatever you see in front, A is the amplitude. Now let's see period. How is period related to B? Because B is the only one unknown here, right? Let's go back to the graph. Now I will remove this minus 1.6 so that, all right. Okay, let me undo minus 1.6. Did you see that amplitude still remained 2? So if I see the difference between minus 1.6, this is the axis, and top was 0.4. If you remember, top was 0.4. So there was no change in amplitude. So even if we add any number at the behind the sine or cos x, there is no effect on amplitude. That's why I did not even mention amplitude or 2 in front of sine x here, because it was not affected at all by the axis. All right, amplitude was still 2. So let's go to period now. Okay, now I will delete minus 1.6 and let me write a number in front of it. And for that I need to make a table. So let me write 2 in front of it. Okay, so what is the period now? If I wrote 2 there, is the period 2? Let's see. So for period we find the maximum here, which is 2, and maximum here, which is 2. Yeah, but we need to know the difference between the x value. That is how we find period, isn't it? The x values of whatever are 2 consecutive maximum or minimums. So 225 minus 45. So when I wrote 2, so let me make some space here. Now, so if B is 2, period was 225 minus 45, which is 180. When nothing was there means 1. When B was 1, we know its period was 360 degrees, correct? Let's write 3. Okay, let's do this part. We'll write 3 here. Okay, add 3. What is the period now? This is 30. This is 150. So x value 150 minus 30. Okay, let's go back. So 150 minus 30, which is 120 degrees. Let's do right 4. Okay. I change it to 4. Now what happens? The period changes to 112.5 minus 22.5. Okay, 112.5 minus 22.5, which is 90. Now you will see a pattern here. Look, if I multiply 2 with 180, what do I get? 360. When I multiply 1 with 360, I get 360. When I multiply with 3 times 120, 360. 4 times 90, 360. That means B multiplied by period is always a constant, which is 360. If you are talking about radians, so B multiplied by period is 2 pi in radians. That means B is 2 pi divided by period, or period equal to 2 pi divided by B. Same here, period equal to 360 divided by B, or B equal to 360 divided by period. This is the relationship between B and period. In case of amplitude and C, straight away we had the values. Just write those values and this becomes your amplitude, this becomes your axis. But in period, whatever value we have in front of x, divide 360 by that value and then you get your period. Or suppose in next level you want to find B and you know the period, you have to divide 360 by that period and you will get what to write in front of x. So we should have some kind of practice for this. Now we will practice to write the equation of a graph with the help of these facts now. Okay, now I will write the equation of all these graphs one by one. And I know that the format of an equation is y equal to a sine bx plus c, or y equal to a cos bx plus c. Now what will I do? I will write the equation one by one. Let me tell you here that there is something called phase shift also involved in this, but I'm not taking up that one because I'm making this video for lower level classes, so I will exclude phase shift for the time being. So first we should know amplitude. So let's start with this red color graph here and find its amplitude. So we know that amplitude is maximum minus minimum divided by 2. So maximum is how much? Minus 10. Minus how much is minimum? Minus 30. Divided by 2. That becomes plus 20 divided by 2 equal to 10. So in place of a, I will write 10. Now I should know whether it is sine or cos. Correct? Now sine usually starts from middle axis, and we know that the middle is somewhere here. So it is not starting from from axis, but it is starting from minimum, and cos starts from maximum. So still there's a problem. Both of them are not matching this graph. So, but we can do what? We can choose cos and put a minus in front of 10. So basically, in place of starting from maximum, it starts from minimum. So what does a negative does? It reflects upside down. Reflects the graph upside down. So if it is not starting from maximum, it is starting from minimum, put a negative here in front and it will act just like a cos. So basically it will be cos. Now we need something in front of x, and now axis. Let's find axis first. So axis is maximum plus minimum divided by 2. So maximum is minus 10, minimum is minus 30 divided by 10, and it will be minus 40 divided by 2, sorry, 10 divided by 2, minus 20. We can see that minus 20 is the axis. So minus 20 is the last one. Now left, what is left? What do we need in front of x? And we know that b is 360 divided by period. Yes, no, or 2 pi divided by period, depending on whether you want to use radians or degrees. I want to use degrees. So 360 divided by period. So period should be this and this. What is the x? What is the distance between this? 36 minus 12. 36 minus 12 is 24. So 24, which is 15. So it is 15. Y equal to minus 10 cos 15x minus 20 is the equation. Now, sometimes you may not be sure whether your equation is correct or not. Take a random point. Let me take this point. What is the coordinate of this point? Coordinates of this points are 30. This is 30, right? 30, comma, and minus 20. Now, in this equation, in place of x, put 30, and you must get, as a whole of the answer, you must get a minus 20. If you get, your answer is correct. I'm not doing that, but you can use your calculator. Put minus 10 cos 15 times 30 will be 450. 450 minus 20. And then you should get minus 20. And I'm sure this equation is correct. Okay? So I'm going to the next one. Now I want to write equation of this blue color, this one. So maximum is 20 minus minimum, which is 15, yeah, divided by 2, that is 5, yeah, 5, that is 2.5. So y equals to 2.5. Again, it is starting from minimum, not maximum. So I will write a minus here and it becomes cos. Now I'll go to period. Period is, this is maximum. Oh yeah, this is maximum. Let me take minimum this time. This is minimum and this is a minimum. What is minimum? 24 and 0. So what is b? It will be 360 divided by 24. Your period is, this is period, okay? So that comes out to 15 again. Oh, both of them have same. All right, 15 x, and now we have to find axis. Maximum plus minimum divided by 2. 35 divided by 2, 17.5 plus 17.5. This is the equation of that blue graph, this one. And to verify, you can take a random point. Take this point, which is 36. When you put 36, you must get 20. Put 36 in place of this x. If you get 20 as y, that means your equation is correct. And I'm sure it is correct. Okay, you can try it, pause it and verify. Let's go to the third. Now, amplitude first. Maximum is 6. Okay, something went wrong. Maximum is 6 minus minimum is 2 divided by 2. 6 minus 2 is 4 divided by 2 is 2. So y equals to 2. And can you see it is not actually completely, minimum is not at 2. It is coming little down first. But I will assume, because I have not taught you phase shift, so I'm not going to take that into account. So 2 and minus, because it's starting from minimum. Cos. Now I need b. B is period 360 divided by period. What is period? Let me take this minimum and no, this is not on line. Anything on line? Okay, let me take this one. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That means this is 3.5, right? 3.5x here. And this is 6, 6.5. So 6.5 minus 3.5 will be 3. 120. So your b is 120x. Now for axis, this is amplitude, axis now. 6 plus 2, though we can visually see what is axis here, but we should do it. 8 divided by 2 is 4. We can see that 4 is axis, 4. So plus 4. This is the equation. And now to pause it and verify, take this point. This point looks like to me 9, comma 4. You put 9 in place of this x, you must get a 4. I'm giving you a habit of verifying your answer all the time. Okay? You should always do that. Let's go to the next one. Okay. This one, amplitude first. Maximum is 2 minus minimum is minus 2 divided by 2. 2 plus 2, 4 divided by 2. 2 is the amplitude. Oh, all of them are cos. Y equal to 2 cos. And this time we don't have to put a negative because it is actually starting from maximum. So normally cos starts from maximum. So we don't have to put any negative here. In previous cases, because it was starting from minimum, so we had to put a negative. Cos. Now let's find b. b equal to 360 degrees divided by period. Period. Let me do this one and this one. So between 180 and 90, this will be 270 and this will be 90. Yeah, that is 90. So 270 minus 90 is 180. B is 2. 2x, and now I need axis. Axis maximum plus minimum divided by 2, which is 0. No need to write anything. This is the equation. You can verify any point. You can verify this point here. And the final one. Your equation for this, again there is a phase shift here, but I will assume that this line is at minimum. So amplitude maximum is 2.5 minus minimum is 1.5 divided by 2, which is 2 divided by 2, 1. 1 is your amplitude. Now axis, maximum plus minimum divided by 2, which is 5 divided by 2, 2.5. B will be 360 divided by period. Now period, see, we know one minimum and one maximum. We don't know two maximum or two minimum. So we'll use the formula 2 and what is the higher? Maximum. How much is this? 7, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 7. Minus, what is minimum? 1. So 7 minus 1 is 6 times 2, 12. Yeah, that's period. Now B will be, this is period, B will be 360 divided by 12, which is 30. So now we will put all of them together. Y equal to, because it's starting from minimum, minus amplitude is 1. I will not write anything. Cos B is 30, x, and what is axis? Plus 2.5. These three gave us this equation. And we wrote the equation of all of them. I think we have had 5 examples and you will be better placed with these examples. Now you can write the equation of any sinusoidal graph except for phase shift, which I've avoided for the time being. Today, I'm going to teach you how to draw the graphs of sine and cosine functions. I have written 2 examples here, one on left, one on right, and I will draw the graphs. Before drawing graphs, you must be aware of some facts, like this is amplitude and this is axis. So if you're not aware about these facts, please watch my video on writing equations for sine and cosine graphs on my channel, Jaiho Math, and you will be aware of it. The third thing we should know is, this is called B value. B value, it is the coefficient of the angle, which is a variable x. So 3 means it is an amplitude, and minus 2 means it is the equation of the axis. So what should be our first step towards drawing a graph? Our first step should be to start from axis. Okay, so what is axis? Y equal to minus 2. So y equal to minus 2, I will draw a very light line. It is hardly visible, and if I want, I can write that this is the axis. Right? Always start with the axis. Now we know that amplitude is the distance of the maximum point or minimum point from axis. So maximum point is above axis and minimum point is below axis. So let's see, what if minus 2 is the axis, what will be the maximum? Add 3 to it. So minus 2 plus 3 will be 1, positive 1. Maximum is the amplitude away from the axis, which is that it is 3 units above axis in this case. Why? Because our amplitude is 3. So we have to add 3 to axis so that we get a line for maximum. Let's write maximum here. Similarly, we can draw a minimum, which is 3 units down because amplitude is 3. So 3 units below axis. So 3. This is minimum. And I've drawn them very light because I just want reference. Okay. After we've done this, the next step should be that we find the B value, which is here. Yeah, this is B value. But on a graph, we cannot draw B value. We need to draw a period. So period, as we know from previous videos, period is 2 pi divided by B value. Okay, 2 pi is the period of normal sine graph or cosine graph. We divide by b. So what does that become? Let's say 2 pi divided by pi over 3. And if we rearrange this, so it should be 2 pi times 3 over pi. So because it's a denominator, so I reciprocated it. Pi and pi cancel, 6. So I should select my scale of x-axis such that I get a good graph. So I will take maximum. So I will take 3 units as 1. So it will, and I can't write scale on any other place other than x-axis. So 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 and 1 2 3. I will make 4 equal parts and write 6 there. Why 4? Because in sine or cosine graph we've seen that the pattern repeats after 1/4 of the cycle. So that's why I wrote 6 here. So half of 6 will be 3 here, half of 3 will be 1.5 here, and between 3 and 6 equally distributed will be 4.5. Actually, we can multiply 1.5 by 2, we get this, by 3 we get this, and by 4 we get this. Okay, once we have done 4 parts of this, we should now be ready to draw the graph. Now, if I remind you how the sine graph looks like, sine graph looks like that it is starting from 0, 0, goes up, comes down, and finishes at 360 or 2 pi. So same thing we should replicate here and start from the middle axis. So this is where our axis middle is. From there we will start. Then it goes to first fourth of the cycle, it goes to maximum. So it should be maximum here. Then it comes back to axis. So at 3 it will come back to axis. Then 4.5 it will go to the minimum, which is here, and go back to axis at 6. And now we can continue this pattern after that. So 3 and it goes to maximum, 1 2 3 it comes to this, and 1 2 3 it goes to minimum. So let me complete these points now, and it should be a proper curved graph. Never make it sharp lines. It should be a curved graph because sinusoidal functions are curved. So this is the graph of 3 sine pi by 3x minus 2. Alright, let's go to the second question. So let me delete some part of it. Okay. Now the second question says y equal to 5 cos 2x plus 3. So do you remember what we did in a previous one? We drew axis first. So what is axis here? Plus 4. So let's add 1 2 3 4 plus 4. This is axis. Now we should go to maximum. Maximum is 5 because the amplitude is 5. So it should be 5 above. Maximum should be 5 above axis. So 5 plus 4, 9. So the line should be at 9. So 1 2 3 4 5. At 9 I have drawn another line, very light. This is maximum. And 5 below 4 is minus 1. So this will be minimum. So I will write here, this was maximum, this is axis, and this is minimum. For you, there is no need to write maximum, axis, and minimum, because to explain to you, I'm writing these words. There's no need to do that, right? Next thing was to find period, and period is 2 pi divided by b, which is b is 2 in this case, the coefficient of x, which is 2. 2 and 2 cancel, pi. So now pi is not a number, right? It's 3.14. I can't write it in decimal, so I will prefer to write in terms of pi only. So at a comfortable, let me make give 2 units to 1. So 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2. Okay, I'll make it more. All right. So 1 2 3 4. On the fourth one, I will write pi. Remember, in the previous one also we wrote 6 first. Why? Because it is to be divided into 4 parts. What is half a pi? Pi by 2. What is half of pi by 2? Pi by 4. And now we have to do double is pi by 2. 4 times is pi. So what is 3 times? 3 pi by 4. And similarly, we can continue the scale if you want after that. It will be 5 pi by 4. No, it will be 5 times pi by 4. Then 6 times pi by 4 will be 3 over 2 pi. 6 over 4. Then 7 pi over 4. 8 pi over 4 will be 2 pi. 9 pi by 4. This is how the scale goes. Now, this is a cos. And let me remind how the cos graph looks like. Cos graph starts from 1, which is top, and then comes back to down there and finishes at pi, 2 pi. Right? Yeah. This is what we'll replicate here. So let me put the points first. This is where it will start. And pi of 4, this is the place where it will reach at the axis. See, here it is reaching at axis. Then it is going at the minimum. So we'll go to minimum, which is at this particular part, then goes back to axis, then goes back to minimum, sorry, maximum. And I will repeat this one again. 3, 4, 4 comes to axis, goes to minimum, comes back to axis, goes to maximum, and comes back 1, 2. So let me join these with a graph. So it will start from somewhere here and then it will come. Okay. And that's it. This is the graph of y equal to 5 cos 2x plus 4. So mind it, there is one more fact to it, which is called phase shift, which I've again avoided in this because phase shift creates little trouble. So in future I will make a graph where the phase shift is also included. There is no phase shift in this. So this is how the graphs are drawn for sinusoidal functions. Step number 1, draw axis, then add amplitude to get maximum, subtract amplitude to get minimum, draw those 3 lines. Then decide a period. For period, this is the formula 2 pi divided by b if you're using radians, 360 divided by b if you're using degrees. In this whole example, I have used only radians. And then you get your period of graph. Then divide that period into 4 equal parts. First, you decide according to your comfort 4 parts at equal distances, and out of 4th part you write your period, and then divide it into previous 3. You have to name them, and you can go beyond that if you want. And then just copy the parent graph of cos or sine, whatever is the function, and replicate it on the points you have just created on the graph, and your graph is ready.